ESPN presents the HFC Hydroplane Series. This third stop, the Budweiser Thunder on the Ohio. The HFC Hydroplane Series is brought to you by Household Finance Corporation, America's financial resource, and by Pringles, the fever reliever. Hello, everyone. Welcome to Evansville, Indiana, a Midwestern city that is cozied right up to the Ohio River, where today the unlimited hydroplanes will race in race number 3 of their 1990 season. I'm Dick Crippen, along with racing expert Jim Hendrick. Jim, you have been on this tour for quite some time, but you have yet to see the speeds that they have put into the qualifying here.
Nobody has. We've had 160.122 mile an hour. So Tommy Deeth of Fairhaven, Michigan, driving the Miss Budweiser, becomes the first driver in history to ever go that fast, either qualifications or, of course, regular competition.
And the other boats in the field are not letting him get away with it.
Not really. Although there's 10 mile an hour difference between some of the boats from the first to the fourth place boat, you have to figure in elapsed time that's only 2.9 seconds. That's just a tick.
So the boat competition is wild here. We've got a couple of boats that are trying new things. For instance, the Oh Boy Alberto tried the turbine and it didn't work. They had an oil pressure problem in it, so they took the turbine out and put the piston packer back in.
It wasn't the engine as much as it was the gearbox housing, and they keep knocking out the pump that puts the fluid in there, and then the bands go bad. So they worked all last night to get this boat ready back and qualify this morning, 116.8 in a reciprocated engine, of course, the Rose Merlin.
Well, the water is perfect and the day is great. It looks like Evansville, Indiana is going to go into the record books. We'll find out as we get ready for the start of Heat 1A coming right up. Dick Crippen along with Jim Hendrick, who is down in the pit right now with the Budweiser team as the fans look on.
Looking for a second consecutive win this year, and of course the first team ever to travel 160 mile an hour lap. Bernie, that's something.
Oh, Jim, I can't tell you that to break that barrier with a boat that Budweiser built and the Budweiser crew, Tom Deeth did an outstanding job for us.
Tommy Deeth, did you realize that you were doing 160 mile an hour out there when you went out to qualify the first day?
No, I really didn't, and I was probably as shocked as anybody when they told me the numbers. It's incredible to think that you can run 160 miles an hour in a 2-mile course without bank turns.
Is there more in the boat?
Oh yes, we can definitely go faster. The setup we had was actually pretty conservative.
Here's a look at the qualifying speeds, and you can see Miss Budweiser at 160 and 3 other boats at better than 150 miles an hour, so it's going to be fast.
Only the top 6 boats will get into the finale. They get 400 points for first, 300 for second, 225 for third, and down the line, and only the top 6 point getters will run for the checker flag and the championship here. Now let's take a look at our lineups for Heat 1A. Miss Budweiser, owned by Bernie Little, driven by Tommy Deeth from Fairhaven, Michigan. Mitch Evans will pilot the Cooper boys, Miss Cairo Choice. The whole set, Miss Madison. Mike Hansen, the pilot. Bob Fendler and Steve David team up in a brand new boat. New turbine Arc Construction, and here they come, Dick.
In lane number 1, it's Cairo Choice. Lane number 2, Oh Boy Alberto. Lane number 3, Arc Construction, the Hulset Miss Madison. And lane number 4, far outside, nearest to you on the screen, taking the start right off of the gun, is the Miss Budweiser. Tom Deeth pulling the red and white beer wagon into the front of the heat, and he looks like he's going to go clean into turn number 1.
On the outside, Dick, he'll keep his RPMs up, hits a little lumps down there as he straightens away for the first down to come down the back chute. Look at the battle for second place between Cairo Choice and on the left of your screen, the Risley Audio Holset Miss Madison.
So Mike Hansen on the outside of the course trying to gain second place as he looks at the tail of the Miss Budweiser. You wonder if Tom Deeth is thinking back to a couple of years ago when he was racing the Gold Cup, having just taken over the seat of the Miss Budweiser. He went over, hit canopy first on the Ohio River, came out of it with no damage to himself, but a lot of damage to the boat.
No doubt about it. Right now, it doesn't seem to bother him. 136.711 mile an hour for lap number 1 for Tommy Deeth.
Good ride for Tom Deeth, but look at the battle still ensuing for second place. Mike Hansen in the Holset Miss Madison has it momentarily. Cairo Choice, Mitch Evans, the driver of that boat, right behind him in third place, just about 2 boat lengths off him.
This is the 1988 haul, and Tommy Deeth won the Drivers' Championship in it after taking over for the injured Jim Cropfield after the 1988 Miami race. It's been resurrected and brought back, and he won the Gold Cup in it last race.
So they actually have 2 Miss Budweiser hulls, and this is the one that Tommy Deeth prefers, and this is the hull that Mike Hansen prefers for the Holset Miss Madison, also sponsored this weekend by Risley Audio. That's a local sponsorship for that boat here in Evansville, Indiana. Great turn for Tom Deeth, and I say great because the boat is holding right onto the water. You can see through the tunnel underneath. Good speeds are being gotten here on the Ohio River, and speeds, Jim, have become the story of this circuit.
136.6 within 1/10 of a mile of his lap number 1 speed. As we look at the second place boat, this is Mike Hansen, who moved from Seattle to Madison, Indiana to build this boat into a competitor for 1990.
So Mike now represents a real hometown entry for the folks of the Evansville and Madison, Indiana area. Of course, next week we'll be up in Madison, Indiana, and that boat will have a tremendous following of fans. Still, the lead boat is the Miss Budweiser, Tom Deeth. Second place, the Holset Miss Madison. Third place now is the Oh Boy Oberto, fighting it out with Cairo Choice, Mitch Evans. So there's quite a bit of battle yet to be decided here on the Ohio River.
Tommy Deeth makes the turn, still averaging over 135 mile an hour. Here's the boat that just a couple of days ago got wet for the first time. A brand new turbine, a Jones hull, co-owned by Bob Findler and the driver Steve David. Still loping along, a lot of testing, but qualified the first time in the water, the first lap at 110 mile an hour plus.
Again, a good shot of the Holset Miss Madison as Mike Hansen powers that boat. You'd think with that tremendous engine in there, that aircraft engine, the boat would ride a lot heavier in the water, but you can see when the boat is designed, it is designed to ride light and kind of tiptoe across the top of the water at tremendous speed. Right now, Mike Hansen is doing a good job.
As the Miss Budweiser comes around, the Arc Construction, who gives him plenty of room. Steve David, a very wise driver, driving a brand new boat. He'll have to get the feel of it for a couple of races, as our leader has slowed way down, taking the lumps off of corners number 3 and 4 to come down to complete another lap.
Kind of interesting to point out, too, that the second place boat here is taking some lumps also, but it's when the boats slow down that they can take a rougher ride than when they're riding across the tops. Tommy Deeth now looking at the start-finish line to get a signal from there as to how many laps remain in this race. He should be getting the green flag coming out this time around. Tommy Deeth in the Miss Budweiser has led since the start of this race. No real competition for him in this particular heat, but it's a long day yet to go.
A long, hot day, I might add, Dick, with close to 100,000 fans on hand in bathing suits, tents over their heads, you name it, a lot of suntan oil.
Miss Budweiser, leader of the race in the final lap now. The green flag marking one more lap to go. Here is your third place boat. This is the Cairo Choice boat. Mitch Evans driving out of Evansville, Indiana. This is the real hometown entry for this particular race, and he's doing a good job with it.
All right, we're on the final turn coming down, and Dick, the checker flag is waiting at 400 points for Tom Deeth and the Miss Budweiser.
A great sigh of relief, I'm sure, from this crew to see that boat performing that flawlessly in the first heat here on the Ohio River. There's your checkered flag going out for the Miss Budweiser. Tom Deeth comes home the winner. In second place, it will be Mike Hansen, who is now living in Madison, Indiana, just up the river from where we are in Evansville. He's, of course, driving the Holset Miss Madison. And third place will go to the real hometown entry from Evansville, Indiana. That's Mitch Evans driving for Ed Cooper Sr. and Jr. in the Cairo Choice boat. The fans look on. We give you the final results. As you can see, all of the boats finished, led by the Miss Budweiser, second place, Holset Miss Madison. Let's go to the winner's circle and Jim Hendrick.
Okay, guys, you broke the boat yesterday. You got it fixed. Not too shabby.
Well, Budweiser's running great. It's a little rough out there with all those boats out there, but the Ohio River was good to us, so we're happy.
Bernie, yeah, your boat was running a little lighter on the front end this time.
Yes, it was. That's all up to Tom. He has the controls in the cockpit, and wherever he wants it, he can set it. And he was just actually he was running slow at 139, and the Miss Budweiser runs a lot better at 150, and probably in the final heat, that's what he'll have to do.
Do you agree the faster, the smoother?
Yeah, I just softened the ride up because I didn't want to beat the boat up too much, and I just set a pace and just kind of stuck to it.
We'll be back with Heat 1B in the HFC Hydroplane Series from Evansville, Indiana, when we continue in a moment.
Indiana, where the order of the day is sunshine, bathing suits, coolers, and suntan lotion. Let's go down to Dick Crippen in the pits.
It has been a bit of a long weekend for the crew of Oh Boy Alberto. Jim Harvey, start out with the turbine engine.
Well, we came to Evansville anticipating to and planning to run the turbine. Dick and the turbine engines were running fine. They'd been tested in Seattle, but the gearbox was unknown. We had to do a lot of modifications to it, and we just didn't get on the water soon enough to maybe sort out some of those problems. And when we did go out, driver was instructed to observe the instruments for the gearbox, and he saw the gearbox was going away, so he shut it down. And it was very emotional yesterday when we couldn't get the turbine running, and there was a half a dozen people from other teams, very competitive teams, here to help if they could help. There was nothing they could do or we could do to save the turbine program for this week. But we will be back next week in Madison with the turbine.
Now the starting lineups for Heat 1B. Miss Circus Circus, driven by Chip Hanauer. Mr. Pringles, George Woods Jr. at the wheel. Paddock Pools with Jerry Hopp. Winston Eagle, the boat that won here last year. Steve Woomer, the owner. Jim Cropfeld, the driver.
Lewis Bakery's Heat number 1B, and on the inside track, it's Circus Circus. Second in the lead right now is Winston Eagle, and the third lane is the Jim Presents Mr. Pringles. On the far outside, it is the Paddock Pools boat. Look at him come down in. It's Winston Eagle in the lead, but watch out for Circus Circus on the inside. Chip Hanauer powers on into turn number 1, takes the lead. He has got the pink and white lady out in front.
We have a battle coming off the exit pin. 1, 2, 3. Look at this, and now the Winston Eagle drops back in between the Mr. Pringles on the outside and Circus Circus in the straightaway on the inside.
And as Jim told you in the lineup introduction of these boats, the Winston Eagle hull is the one that won last year with Larry Lauterbach as the driver. But here's the hull that is dominating. Whoa! Bouncing out of the water with it is the Circus Circus boat. Chip Hanauer, the driver, and he's got himself a run. Look at second place, the battle happening there. Nearest to you on the left of your screen, it is the Chip Presents Mr. Pringles. It is the Winston Eagle in the middle, and those two boats are battling it out in a little individual race of their own as both try to catch the leader.
1988, this boat, driven by Chip Hanauer, won his 7th consecutive Gold Cup on this very river. That was back 2 years ago, 1988.
And maybe those memories are in his mind now as he powers the Pink Lady in the first place in this Heat 1B. Second place in battling the Chip Presents Mr. Pringles, Winston Eagle, Jim Cropfeld, who's feeling a lot better in the older hull. This is the older hull, not the one that they ran in the first 2 races this year. They decided to go back to this hull because they knew it better. They wanted to get competitive on the circuit, and certainly they are. Now we see why he's in second place. Chip Presents Mr. Pringles is down on the course.
Tough break for George Woods Jr. They had that boat running really good. They worked very, very hard all off-season, and so far here this year, they're going to be a contender. Meanwhile, your leader, Chip Hanauer. Chip's, a big favorite here to the crowd. And you know why? He used to drive the Atlas Van Lines, and they're based right here, so he is a hometown favorite driver.
As a matter of fact, O.H. Frisbee is usually in the crowd here at Evansville, Indiana, and every year is at the awards banquet to present some of the trophies and such to the winning drivers. Still a big supporter of unlimited hydroplane racing. Out on the Ohio River off Evansville, Indiana, there you can see some of the Kentucky fans in the background as the Pink Lady, the Miss Circus Circus, goes streaking by. There's the Paddock Pool boat. That's driven by Jerry Hopp. This is one of the boats that a lot of the fans like to root for because this is a team that really fights it every week to get the boat competitive, to get up there in the field and try to qualify it for the championship heats.
Might like to remind you that we're watching 2 states. On the starting line, the front chute, we're in Indiana. On the back chute is the state of Kentucky.
And you saw the Miss Circus Circus passing up Paddock Pools and putting Jerry Hopp a lap down. A good run again for the Miss Circus Circus. Now, you'll notice Chip Hanauer is keeping his speed up a little bit higher than Tommy Deeth did in the first heat. He's trying to keep a good ride for the lady. Meanwhile, in second place, I know Jim Cropfeld feels a lot better there than he did in the first couple of races when he was fighting it all the way in the Winston Eagle. He is still getting used to this ride. This is actually the first time he has been in that boat. As we look down on the course from the helicopter high above, you can see the Winston Eagle of Jim Kropfeld as it passes up Jerry Hopp in the paddock pools. Moving under the shadow of a cloud, but out in the bright sunlight in first place, it is the Pink Lady, Miss Circus Circus, Chip Hanauer, and he's getting himself a great ride. He is about to come home for the green flag to signify one more lap to go. Chip has got to feel good about it, but he knows that his challenge is yet to come. He is not matched out against the Miss Budweiser and already had a threat from the Winston Eagle.
It's amazing, Dick Crippen, that this boat that rides so well, and of course it's a credit to the driver and the crew led by Dave Vilwalk, that this boat looked like it would never race again after flipping in Syracuse last year. Looked like it was in 3 pieces. They put it back together. It's a top competitor.
They had a tremendous off-season program, and they tried to develop some new things for the boat, and so far they seem to be working very well, and we're going to find out a little bit later this afternoon when they match out in the championship heat just how the Circus Circus can compete at extremely high speeds. Meanwhile, still a little bit of an experimental ride for Jim Kropfeld in the Winston Eagle, second place, and here comes the checkered flag out now for the Miss Circus Circus, Chip Hanauer. He makes the final turn on the Ohio River course at Evansville, Indiana. There goes the checkered flag out. He waves and acknowledges it. Chip Hanauer, winner of Heat 1B in Evansville, Indiana, in the Miss Circus Circus.
Average winning speed 138.224 miles an hour for Chip.
Second place will be Jim Kropfeld in Steve Woomer's Winston Eagle. A good ride for Jim, one that I know he has to feel much better about because he's had a tough start to the season.
Now, here's the start of the race at turn number 1. On the left of your screen, you see how Circus Circus Chip Hanauer takes a short way around the course and takes the lead away from the Winston Eagle and Mr. Pringles coming off of corner number 2. Circus Circus fans very happy with the outcome. Here's the standings for Heat 1B. Let's go to Dick Crippen.
Well, Chip, that's one heat out of the way. You got a little bit of pressure.
Yeah, actually less pressure than I thought. We got the bad draw. This week we've seen more parity than we've seen all year, with 3 of us qualifying within, I think, 2 miles an hour of each other. And we ended up with the guys with a lot of parity, and I feel good to come out of it with a win.
How's the river doing out there?
It's rougher than it looks. It kind of surprised me. When I got to the first corner, I hit a big hole going in. The boat took a pretty good leap, and that caught me by surprise.
All right, you continue through this afternoon now. You know there's still a job to be done here.
No, there's a job to be done. I know it's hot, and I know it's not going to be easy, but it never is.
We'll be back with more Budweiser Thunder on the Ohio on the HFC Hydroplane Series in just a moment. Evansville, Indiana, a mid-America city nestled on the shores of the old Ohio River. Evansville is Indiana's 3rd largest city, and they celebrate their 12th annual Thunder on the Ohio here in 1990. The citizens of Evansville work hard, they play hard, and they're proud of their city, and well they might be. Look at the beautiful sight, the Delta Queen going by. The annual Freedom Festival, more events than just a boat race. There's lots of activities, especially a beautiful balloon race over the countryside.
And today, the concentration on the unlimited hydroplanes. Each week, we like to introduce you to another team. This week, the Paddock Pools team.
Looking at the Paddock Pools team, the U7 Thor Racing, Al Thorson is with us. Al, you have a turbocharged Allison, and there are a couple boats that have these kind of engines. Your crew really works hard, and for all intents and purposes, it is a volunteer crew, isn't it?
Yes, it is. They're all volunteers, and of course we pick up their hotel bills and stuff, but other than that, there's no wages involved at all.
Then it's got to be for the love of the sport.
Right, right.
You're doing a lot better than you did last year. You made the finals in Miami, almost made the final heat in the Gold Cup.
Right, and there's just a little 10-cent item that failed us, but we did a lot of work this winter getting our engine program back in shape, and hopefully we're going to run consistent the rest of the year.
A low-budget operation that competes by virtue of hard work and love of the sport. Here's co-owner and driver Jerry Hopp.
As a driver, my goal is to make every final heat on the circuit. So far, we've done that. Al and I get in and work real hard, shoulder to shoulder with all the volunteer crew guys. We have 2 that go on the whole circuit with us, and their name is Bill and Mike. And Al Thorson, the owner, crew chief, works like a slave, and we just have a real good time boat racing and hope we're there at every final heat on the whole circuit.
You know, they say love can bloom in strange ways. Look at this. This couple met during a previous race week here on the Ohio River. So what better way to end it up but to get married on an unlimited hydro? In the pits with a huge crowd looking on. Congratulations to the newlyweds, Jay and Patricia Strasser. And by the way, the bridegroom is operating one of our cameras here on the Ohio River today. Now it's time to take an inside technical look at the sport of unlimited hydroplane racing, brought to you by Performance Corner. 700 stores nationwide to serve you. For the one nearest you, 1-800-533-989.
Doug Ford is the director of safety and competition. And Doug, let's talk a little about the boat itself, the rudder, for instance.
Well, the rudder on one of these big unlimiteds is pretty much the same as a rudder you'd have on one of your family boats or so on. They're a little different, though, in that because of the very high loads at speeds, they have to be made out of very high-strength steel or titanium. And their shape is a little different, too. They have very sharp leading edges and rather blunt or flat trailing edges. And they're often fitted with a tube down here that picks up water to send cooling water to the gearbox and or the engine.
Of course, one of the most important parts that we like to talk about is the propeller.
Oh, the propellers are very important, Dick. Specifically, these propellers are a lot smaller than you might think for a boat that weighs 6,000 pounds and going 200 miles an hour. They're about 13 to 15 inches in diameter, and they have a pitch, what's called a pitch, or how far the propeller will screw itself through the water in one revolution. That might be as much as 22 inches. They're very high-strength steel. They have to support maybe up to 6,000 pounds load on every one of these blades, and they ride with only half of the propeller in the water at one time, only from here on down in the water. The other half, as it comes out, it shoots up a tremendous wall of water, maybe 3 tons of water in the air at one time.
This, of course, Evansville, Indiana. That's the pit scene there. And, of course, this is the Freedom Festival. It's based around the Freedom Shrine, which looks down on the Ohio River from Evansville. The 4 columns representing freedom of speech, religion, fear, and from oppression. 50 pedestals around the base are symbolic of our 50 states and the dates that they entered the Union. There are 13 steps leading to the monument. They represent the original 13 colonies. These basic beliefs provide the cornerstone of democracy, of course, gave us leadership for our first 200 years. Part of the Freedom Festival here in Evansville, Indiana, the racing of the unlimited hydroplanes. And we'll be back to more racing on the Ohio River in Evansville, Indiana, in just a moment.
Members of the media around the nation are provided with a fact-filled media guide complete with pictures of the boats, drivers, owners, and officials, plus a rundown and records both for individual race courses and world records. And now, the Unlimited Commission is making available souvenir copies of this year's media guide complete with history, records, and schedule of the year's events. To obtain your copy while they last, send $8 to the Unlimited Racing Commission, 404 Pontius Avenue North, Seattle, Washington, 98109. Price includes shipping and handling. Back here in Evansville, Indiana, the fans are awaiting the start of heats 2A and 2B. And while we're waiting for the action, let's go down to the pits and Dick.
Tommy Tomlinson is the owner rep for the Circus boat. Tom, you come into Evansville, Indiana, looking for win number 2.
That is correct, Dick. 2 out of 3 is not too shabby at the beginning of the season.
It certainly isn't, because this field is very competitive, and both your boat, the Miss Circus, and the Miss Budweiser have really set a pace that's a blistering pace.
Yes, they have. Not only us, but the Pringles and the Winston Eagle. Winston bringing their last year's boat back. You have four boats within 2.5 seconds of one another. Now that establishes some good competition.
Well, we have to say one thing. This course has been both good and bad for Chip Hanauer. He knows all angles of it.
Yes, he certainly does, and today it's going to be very good for him.
5 boats are set to go in action here in Heat 2A, and here's your lineup, and as they come down for the start, Dick Griffin.
Lane number 1 is the Miss Paddock Pool Circus, and lane number 2, Cairo Choice, Mitch Evans, and lane number 3, the Mr. Pringles boat, lane number 4, the Wholesome Miss Madison, lane number 5, Circus, blisters right off of the start. Mr. Pringles on the outside of him trying to catch him, but again, Chip Hanauer has the inside advantage on the fast boats.
A great shot from our helicopter, Dick, on the inside, making the short way around the course. Circus moving up on his hip is George Woods and Mr. Pringles as he enters into the roost tail, and look at the shot going down the back chute for the first time.
A good chalk line view from the helicopter. Here's your lead boat, and a good close-up of that boat as Chip Hanauer powers down the back stretch. Second place now. Chip presents Mr. Pringles with George Woods Jr. aboard. Chip Hanauer going into the turn again, and this is a good indication on these turns as to how the boat will respond to the river, because of course in the turns you get the current changes and you go either for or again the current. So he is watching very closely now for any rollers or any indication of problems on the course. Meanwhile, of the 2 boats in the lead, the second place boat seems to be a little bit lighter, but look at that time.
1:39.7. That's the fastest lap of the day so far.
Chip Hanauer having a great day of racing. He has really been flawless so far in the Miss Circus boat. Chip very confident in his boat and in his pit crew and the job that they've done to get it ready for this race out here. These boats hit upwards of 200 miles an hour on the straightaways. Again, we point out to all of the people watching for the first time that the boats don't actually turn in the corner. As you look there, you can see the skid fin off of the sponson on the left side of the driver. That fin actually holds the boat on the water as it tends to skid across the water. So they lose a lot of speed in the turn and then have to accelerate back up. So to hit 200 miles an hour in the straightaways in these boats is really talking some fast speed.
When we show you the lap number 2 here is 1:34.572 mile an hour, meaning he's hitting about 182 mile an hour in the straightaway to get that speed.
A good shot there of the Holset Miss Madison as she gets very light on the water. Mike Hansen bringing her back down. That's a scary feeling as these guys see that horizon start to disappear, but he came back down all right. Didn't hesitate a bit, kept his foot in it, and kept speed good. That boat right now riding in 3rd place.
Mike Hansen from the Seattle area, as we said earlier, has moved to the town of Madison, Indiana. Now look at here, as the Circus with Chip Hanauer goes wide. Over along the buoy line is the paddock pools, just getting out of the way. Very smart of Jerry Hott.
1st and 2nd place boats, the Miss Circus and the Jip Presents Mr. Pringles, respectively, dropping the paddock pools down a lap. There's your lap time, 1:38.079, continuing very fast for Chip Hanauer.
Our leader is the Circus, and he is about halfway to a victory, which would be a second 400-point victory, which will get him into the finals here later today. Here is your 3rd place position right now. It's the Risley Audio Holset Miss Madison, and you know, Dick, it is a World War II engine, which is powered by an Allison that used to power the P-47s, and that kind of World War II. They're thinking possibly going turbine next year.
It's something that would get him very competitive with a boat like this one. Your leader, that's Circus. Here's the Miss Cairo choice, Mitch Evans. He is now in 4th position on the field. And, of course, rounding out the field, Jerry Hopp in the Miss Paddock pools. There's a good shot of a very classic ride of a fast hydroplane. That is to say that it is tending to rise up, but as it does, it kind of tiptoes those sponsons side to side and gives it a great ride across the water.
And as Doug Ford told you earlier today, that only half the prop rides the water. The second rooster tail comes off the skid fin on the left side, or the side we were just looking at. Here once again is the Holset Miss Madison, currently in 3rd place.
So 1st is the Miss Circus. 2nd place, Jip Presents Mr. Pringles. 3rd place now is the Holset Miss Madison, the boat you're looking at right there. That boat is followed by Cairo Choice, Mitch Evans, and rounding out the field is the Paddock Pools. Here comes the checkered flag out for the Pink Lady, as Chip Hanauer likes to call his boat, Miss Circus. There's another shot of the Paddock Pools as he continues around. The checkered flag is waiting for the winner to come across the finish line. Chip Hanauer about to take his 2nd win of the day, which will put him into the final heat out here against the Miss Budweiser if everything goes right for Tommy Deeth in the heat yet to come up, Heat 2B. So the checkered flag out, Chip Hanauer with another win. Here's 2nd place. This is George Woods Jr. in the multicolored Jip Presents Mr. Pringles. Seems to be waving at the crowd as he comes across. And let's go right down to the pit area.
2 down, 1 to go. Happy birthday to you, Chip.
Well, you know, it's nice. We're in the final, and you can't put too much emphasis on these elimination heats or you get yourself in trouble. And now we're in the final, and that's what we came here to do.
You mentioned parity in an earlier interview with Dick Crippen. I believe you're right. I think it's there, and we might see that in the final heat.
Yeah, I think the Budweiser has a clear and distinct advantage, but the rest of us are all running within, 1 or 2 miles an hour of each other. So that's good. It's good for the sport. Hard on us, though.
We're just 1 heat away from the championship final in Evansville, Indiana. We'll be back with more of the HFC Hydroplane Series in just a moment.
Jim Hendrick and Dick Crippen back here on the Ohio River in Evansville, Indiana. We're about to start the final elimination heat of the day just before the finals, and here's the starting field, and for the call, Dick Crippen.
Winston Eagle, the Miss Budweiser, Art Construction, oh boy, Oberto in Lewis Bakery's Heat 2B. It's Art Construction Lane 1, Winston Eagle in Lane 2, Miss Budweiser Lane 3. Oh boy, Oberto on the outside. There's the start of the Winston Eagle. Jimmy Kropfeld taking the Dayglow red boat right up to the front of the pack and hard into turn number 1.
Looking down, you see the distance between first and second place. The apexes of turn number 1 and 2 as they come down the back chute and out of the rooster tail. Here comes Miss Budweiser. Tommy Deeth as he pulls abreast.
Tom Deeth now looking to see if he's got the power to outrun the Winston Eagle on the back stretch. That could be the telltale of the race, but you can see that Jim Kropfeld is not giving him any room at all. Kropfeld's going to try to hold the Winston Eagle tight on the pins as they come out. That could give him advantage out of the turn, but as you can see, Tommy Deeth on the outside, the advantage he has is keeping his power very, very high and strong. He has done that. He still has about a boat-length lead over second place.
As they come down the complete lap number 1, what a battle between these two veteran drivers. 145.469, fastest lap of the day.
And that will put the Miss Budweiser at over 200 miles an hour on the straightaways here in Evansville, Indiana. He powers hard out of the turn. Now that's the rough spot right in there. You can see a wave tend to break over the front of the boat. As the boats race on this course, it tends to roughen up more and more because of the banks on either side. The water will actually come back out onto the course as rollers, so they've got to constantly be watching the water conditions.
Jim Kropfeld is getting some lessons. He's loading this boat better and better. This is the first time he's been in competition in this hall since they brought it back out of retirement for this race.
He's doing a good job holding it tight on the inside, too. That's a very tough ride. You've got to know what you're doing. He's a veteran driver, and Tom Deeth is very well aware of that. Look at that. He's gone up even further. 146.443 for the Miss Budweiser.
And he can contribute that speed to the man who's pushing him, the former driver of this boat, now driving the Winston Eagle. Oh, boy, Oberto, on the inside and out of the race for rookie Mark Tate.
Tough break for this young man who's just into his first season of unlimited hydroplane racing. This guy, the wily veteran, Jim Kropfeld. Here is another gentleman who came in just a couple of years ago, Steve David. He's driving the Art Construction boat. Incidentally, that little round circle behind the driver, that's actually where another person can look out. They have a second seat in that hydroplane.
And they said you can go for a ride anytime.
No. Mark my name off the list. I'll watch him and I'll talk about him. And right now, the talk centers on the Miss Budweiser, Tom Deeth. And second place is the Winston Eagle, a beautiful boat. Jim Kropfeld getting a much better ride than he's had earlier in the season. I think he's building a lot of confidence in this boat. The crew already knows the boat. They have a tremendous amount of confidence in it.
As they come down the back chute now, the Miss Budweiser has slowed down about 3 miles an hour to 143.3. And it seems, though, the second place boat, the Winston Eagle, Jim Kropfeld very wisely trying to pick up 300 points for second place finish. Both these boats will make the final heat.
And of course, both of these boats are turbine powered. A new turbine engine on the circuit, Steve David's Art Construction.
I don't know how phenomenal I'm going to be. It's a brand new boat, just true state of the art. We want to get it dialed in these next couple of races, and hopefully by the time we get to Bob's home turf in Honolulu, we'll be the top gun.
Well, they've had good fortune with the boat, taking it right out of the box and qualifying it for his first ever race here today, and I think that certainly is something that they can live on for a while. But it may be a while before they're catching up with the Winston Eagle riding in second place at this point, because they've been working on this boat a long time. This is the hull that was brought back this year, and so far, Jimmy Kropfeld has had a very, very good day with it right now, riding in second place.
The driver must fit the boat. He must feel comfortable. And here is a lapping taking place as the Miss Budweiser goes on the outside of Art Construction. Steve David very wisely giving him room.
Jim Kropfeld still sitting very comfortable in second place, not wanting to rip up the equipment. The same story goes for our leader, the Miss Budweiser, Tom Deeth, as he puts the Art Construction boat down another lap. The lead boat, very comfortable. Again, they don't want to rip up the equipment. They want it ready for the real challenge, which is yet to come. It'll be the next race here in Evansville, Indiana. The checkered flag now flying and waving for Tom Deeth. in Miss Budweiser, Bernie Little's boat out of Lakeland, Florida. Bernie on the shoreline there, very happy at the performance of his boat today. Second place, I'm sure Steve Woomer is feeling a great relief for the sponsorship of the Winston Eagle. As that boat comes in, Jim Kropfeld definitely has made the final heat. Here's the way the boats tally out with our points. Miss Budweiser, Winston Eagle, Art Construction, and Oh Boy Alberto not finishing.
Tommy, you got another one in there. Jimmy tried to serve a little bit of notice on you early on, but you got him.
Well, he got a beautiful start, you know, and he's a good starter on the Ohio River, too, so put me to school a little bit, but the Miss Budweiser's running fine, and we're real tickled with the way we're ready for the final.
You really are. This boat has been absolutely running perfectly all day long. It really has been a great weekend with the exception of one bolt on the fin.
Right, and we're real proud about the new record and, of course, the qualifying record, and hopefully we can win the final and make it a complete weekend.
All right, what's going to happen in the final? You got any idea of where your strategy is going to be?
Well, I'm going to try to go for the inside, but you never know. If it's not available, I'll have to go someplace else.
And the new course record of 140.2 for Miss Budweiser. We'll be back with the final action in just a moment. And there's a happy group down in the pits. Let's go to Dick.
All right, this is a happy group right here. Stephen David, Bob Fendler, these guys just what?
Just made the final. First time out of the box. Best crew, best owner. Bernie's going to lose some sleep later on down the season.
Bob, you guys were up all night long working on this thing and getting it set.
Well, it's a genuine team effort. It takes everybody in our group to do this, and we're very proud of them.
Steve, the boat's still a little bit of porpoising out there, but it looks like it may be getting a little better.
It is getting better. I'll put my crew up with anyone. We got Ron Jones Jr. here. It's his design. He's setting the wings for us. Mark Evans, who built it's working with him. It's just every heat this boat's going to improve and improve and improve, and pretty soon it'll be a lot better than I am.
Well, I got to tell you, I said earlier to you guys, it's at least this time you're building from the top and honing it from the top as opposed to the bottom and trying to get up there.
Well, and it's a good feeling when you have people that work as hard as our crew did.
Let's take a look at our lineup for the championship heat. The Miss Budweiser, Tom Deeth, will be driving the boat. Chip Hanauer will be in to issue the challenge with Miss Circus Circus. The Winston Eagle right up in there, Jim Kropfeld. He's had a good day. Mike Hansen in the Holset Miss Madison, very steady ride. The Miss Cairo Choice, Mitch Evans driving that hometown boat. Art Construction, Steve David.
Defending champion of this Evansville event is the Winston Eagle, and Steve Woomer, I think you'd like to see a repeat here.
Oh, yeah, we most definitely would, especially with the start we've had so far this season. We'd definitely like to step up here today.
This is the hull that won it last year, but there's quite a few changes.
Yeah, we've made a number of modifications. The boat was tested heavily last fall and had a keyway break in propeller shaft and caused it to flip in testing. But we've done a number of modifications to it to make it better. We're playing a little catch-up with the thing because of the fact that we didn't have the other two races under our belt. So, but I think we might step up and fire one today.
Championship heat in Evansville, Indiana. Here are the boats in lane number 1, Cairo Choice. Lane number 2, Miss Circus Circus. Lane number 3, Miss Budweiser. Lane number 4, Holset Miss Madison. And lane number 5, the Winston Eagle. Trailing the field just a little off pace, coming up inside lane number 3 is the Art Construction boat. Here they come down to the start. Chip Hanauer and Circus Circus trying to get the lead on the Miss Budweiser. They come down almost even Steven, just a boat length difference between the two. It is Circus Circus on the start line. He has got himself a good start, and they are almost going to be neck and neck as they go into the turn. A great shot from the helicopter. Circus Circus on the inside of the Miss Budweiser. Miss Budweiser moving up on the outside, and there was a little bit of a tag of the wake by the Circus Circus, but Miss Budweiser holding on to the lead as they go down into the backstretch.
It's the Miss Budweiser. This is for all the money. There is no more today. First one to take the checker flag wins the event. As the Whoa! The Budweiser came right out of the water. And Tommy never took his foot out of it, Dick.
He certainly didn't. You can see both of the boats are very, very light. And here comes Circus Circus again as they come up even Steven. Circus Circus on the inside. The pink boat, the red and white boat on the outside. Tommy Deeth in the Miss Budweiser. Look at the lap speed.
Oh, these boats are really battling. Two veteran drivers. They trust each other. They know. Now they're coming off of corner number 2. Holding in tight is the Miss Budweiser on the inside, the Circus Circus.
A great challenge by Chip Hanauer to the Miss Budweiser boat, and as they come down, Tommy Deeth again tends to get a little bit light. This is something that Chip Hanauer is going to watch very closely out there. His boat got light, but Tommy's really got light coming out of corner number 4.
As they come off of corner number 4, to complete lap number 2 after close to 145-mile-an-hour competition lap on lap number 1. Here comes Circus Circus on the inside. Look at Tommy Deeth and Miss Budweiser, almost side by side. The crowd is going crazy.
And they have a right to. These boats are deck to deck and look like they hit as they came around. Almost 141 miles an hour average speed as they go back into the turn.
You'll never see better competition than this. Side by side coming off as the Miss Budweiser. Oh, the Circus Circus is up in the air. He almost lost it there, Dick.
Circus Circus managed to come down. Chip Hanauer got off it right at the right moment. He's brought it back down, kept the power to it, and he's back in the race, still holding on to second place.
And this was similar in Miami, but not as dangerous when the Miss Budweiser went up and Circus Circus stayed down and went on to win. Now Miss Budweiser has a little more comfortable lead as they come down to complete lap number 3.
Here's the Art Construction boat. Stephen David very happy to be in his final championship heat out here. He is trailing the field right at the moment, but right now I know he is still just happy to get that boat into competition. Meanwhile, on the outside of him, the very fast Miss Budweiser, now at 138.626. He obviously has gotten the word about Chip Hanauer. He knows he has a comfortable lead at this point. He'll just try to keep that buffer zone in there.
Crew and driver can speak with each other because there's radios built in the helmets. They know where the competition is. Here's your number 2 boat, Circus Circus, and Chip Hanauer. What a great driver. I don't know how he controlled that boat, Dick.
He certainly deserves a lot of credit for bringing the boat down without any apparent damage to it. They'll check it out carefully at the end of the heat for sure, but this is for the money. This is the championship. This is when you push the equipment as far as it'll go, and we have seen that happen out here today. Another good run by Mike Hansen in the Hulsett Miss Madison, holding on to 4th position in the field. There you see Miss Circus Circus riding in second on the left side of your screen, going past the bright yellow boat and putting the Art Construction boat down a lap on the rest of the field.
And he completes lap number 4. Lap number 4 has now been completed.
Still fighting it hard. The Cairo Choice boat in 5th place, Mitch Evans, really the hometown entry out here. There you can see the leader going by. Not only the Cairo Choice boat, but also the Hulsett Miss Madison. Now the green flag is out for the lead boats, the Miss Budweiser, and this boat in 2nd place, the Miss Circus Circus. Green flag signifying just one more lap to go. So if Chip Hanauer is going to make a move, he's going to have to make it right now, but I can't see that happening. The Miss Budweiser has been in command since the Circus Circus got very light coming out of corner number 2 earlier in the race, and that gave him enough time to really put a good buffer in there and hold it. You can see, though, Chip Hanauer is still power on as he got the skid fin high and then brought the boat back down onto the water. This is your leader. The checkered flag is out for Tom Deeth and the Miss Budweiser. The championship in Evansville, Indiana today. This crew has got to be extremely happy. They have had literally a flawless day.
3 new course records, 2 new world records, 5 records in all set for Miss Budweiser as the Circus Circus takes the checkered flag for 2nd place.
Certainly a good job by the Circus Circus crew and driver. 3rd place coming in, Jimmy Kropfeld aboard the Winston Eagle, and I know Steve Woomer has got to be feeling much better about it after they had faltered in the first 2 races earlier in the season. We'll be back to talk with the winners in just a moment.
Members of the media around the nation are provided with a fact-filled media guide complete with pictures of the boats, drivers, owners, and officials, plus a rundown and records both for individual race courses and world records. And now, the Unlimited Commission is making available souvenir copies of this year's media guide complete with history, records, and schedule of the year's events. To obtain your copy while they last, send $8 to the Unlimited Racing Commission, 404 Pontius Avenue North, Seattle, Washington, 98109. Price includes shipping and handling. Back here in Evansville, Indiana, on the Ohio River, I'm Jim Hendrick along with Dick Griffin, and this race is now history. We have 3 races under our belts, and the first repeat winner of 1990 is the Miss Budweiser, followed 2nd place for this event by the Circus Circus, Winston Eagle, Miss Madison, Cairo Choice, and Art Construction. Let's go to the winner.
Well, Tommy, 2 in a row. That's got to feel good.
Oh, it certainly does. You know, we're really happy about winning Evansville. I am especially, and I know Bernie is. And everybody at Anheuser-Busch is 2 in a row. This is a real competitive season now, and congratulations to Chip Hanauer and a great birthday present for me.
Well, I got to tell you, you guys put on one of the greatest parity races I've seen all year.
Well, Chip is really a champion driver, you know, and he really makes racing worthwhile for me. And I'll tell you what, he's really a class guy.
All right, Bernie, a couple of heart-stopping moments on shore.
Yeah, I'm going to drink this whole bottle of Budweiser. Really, I want to tell you that I think that was one of the greatest races I've seen in my history, and deck-to-deck dueling like that, and they both know they're good drivers, and the Winston Eagle is coming on real strong, and he'll be right up there with us.
All right, Bernie, were you a little bit concerned? You saw that cowling start to come off.
Yes, I did, and yes, I was, and I tried to get word to Tom to take it easy and make it last.
All right, Tom, when Chip was out there, all of a sudden, I don't know whether he caught part of the rooster tail or he hooked or something went wrong, and he went down on it. You didn't back off at all.
No, not at all. I just kept right on charge, and I knew that he wasn't going to give me any slack at all, so I just kept right on running the Budweiser girl right to the finish.
Okay, any concern at all when that cowling loosened?
No, not really. I mean, Mr. Little tells me to bring it back in pieces, but when.
Now let's take a look at the action, and I'm telling you, both these drivers, Tommy Deef, and look at the way Tommy comes up, loses control completely, flies the boat, comes back down, doesn't take his foot out of it. That means he was competitive all day, as was the man on the right, Miss Circus driver Chip Hanauer. Neither driver giving an inch, coming very closely, just about touching at that point. Now look at the Circus as the Budweiser starts to pull away off of corner number 2. Circus gets airborne and almost loses it, but Chip manages to retain control.
Well, Chip, you kind of threw a scare into some of the fans, I'm sure about that.
You should have been sitting where I was sitting. It got way up in the air. It just rode the rooster tail up, and I'm just lucky that it came down right side up.
All right, luck played into it, but good driving, too. You guys, I got to tell you, you and Tommy put a show on that was just probably the best I've seen in a long time in unlimited hydroplane racing.
Well, they got a really good piece down there right now, and I just got to do the best I can with what I got, and we gave them a race today.
You gave them a run for the money. You're going to be back. This isn't it.
Nah, it takes a while. You wish, you want to win every one, and you know you can't. But I'm real proud of today. They definitely had an advantage, and I think we threw our best shot at them, and it was a good shot, and I'm proud of that.
Strategy before Tommy went in, he said he was going to try for the inside, but he knew Chip Hanauer, and he says, if I don't get it, I won't fight for it.
He fought for a while, and we got it, and we had a good lead at the start, and I was real happy about that, and just don't quite have the piece yet.
All right, but next week you go back, you're into Madison, Indiana, and same river.
Same river, completely different race course, though. It's amazing how different the two race courses are, considering they are in the same body of water. This is short and fat. Madison's real long and real narrow, so it'll be a different race.
We'll be back with a wrap-up from Evansville, Indiana, after this timeout.
Along with the many fans here in Evansville, Indiana, you have had the opportunity of viewing some of the finest unlimited hydroplane racing we have seen in many, many years of coverage. Here are your HFC high points. The Miss Budweiser in the lead by 375 points over the Miss Circus. Mr. Pringles, Winston Eagle, Paddock Pools finishing out the list. If you'd like more information about unlimited hydroplane racing, write the URC, the Unlimited Racing Commission, in Seattle, Washington. Now here's a look at our upcoming events. We'll be in Madison, Indiana, Syracuse, Tri-Cities, Seattle, Washington, Milwaukee, Wisconsin, also Kansas City, Missouri, San Diego, Las Vegas, Nevada, and Pearl Harbor, Hawaii.
In all the 28 years I've covered unlimited hydroplane races and all the play-by-play calls you've made, Dick, maybe none more exciting than the final heat here.
No, when you get two boats going over 140 miles an hour on a course like the Ohio River here in Evansville, Indiana, and they are literally inches apart at the deck line, I think there you're seeing racing. You're seeing a lot of parity in the field, and that's what we saw this week. We saw a boat come right out of the box in the Art Construction boat. Stephen David qualified it for the final heat. I think we saw also that the Winston Eagle, going back to the old boat, it's going to be a competitor the rest of this year while they work on the new one. And I think also there's no question that Jeff Presents Mr. Pringles is going to be in the running too. George Woods had a bad break in one of the heats, wasn't able to finish, but he'll be back out there. But those two premier boats that raced deck to deck out there provided these fans in Evansville and the fans at home with some of the most exciting and the best picture hydroplane racing you're ever going to see.
Excitement mounts, speeds increase, the danger gets a little bit in there, and we'll cover it all for you in future races. On behalf of Dick Crippen, I'm Jim Hendrick. So long.
The HFC Hydroplane Series is brought to you by Household Finance Corporation, America's financial resource. And by Pringles, the fever reliever. A promotional consideration has been provided by the Executive Inn of Evansville. Experience richness and splendor along with personal service. Call 1-800-457-3841 for your reservations. This has been a production of IPI Sports in association with ESPN.